Good evening and welcome to our March 24th school committee meeting at the Clinton High School. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll call the meeting to order. First on the agenda is the approval of bills.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Can I have the roll call vote? Next, we have the minutes from our March 10th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, next to our favorite part of the meeting, our celebrations.
All right, so since he was here early and volunteered, we'll start with the high school and Principal Servac.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Good evening, everyone. I'd first like to introduce our March Staff Member of the Month, nominated by a student, Mr. Craig Martin. Craig? So, I'm proud to recognize Mr. Craig Martin for his outstanding contributions to our students here at CHS. He brings enthusiasm and creativity to the classroom, making learning both enjoyable and meaningful for his students. Beyond teaching, he dedicates his time as a mentor of FIRST Robotics, guiding the team while keeping them focused and engaged. His ability to balance fun with productivity, along with his commitment to student success, makes him a valuable asset to our school community and a deserving recipient of this honor. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Maybe she's good job.
I'd now like to introduce our March Student of the Month, who was nominated by a staff member, Luca Mocker. So I'm pleased to recognize Luca Mocker as our Student of the Month. He's shown commendable dedication to his academics this year through consistent effort and a positive mindset that's resulted in improved grades. His teachers have noticed his focus and motivation when facing challenges. While his positive presence contributes to our school community at CHS. Congratulations to Luca on this well-deserved recognition.
I knew that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer.
Thank you.
And now for our middle school recipients, Principal
Pull
Staff.
this off. Take your head enough.
Good evening, everybody. I love this part. Our fifth grade teachers, Jess White and Nicole Como, were nominated by their colleagues. And rather than telling you how wonderful I think they are, I'm going to quote some of their colleagues when I asked them for what they loved so much about. You guys should probably come up here, right? Yeah. Thank you, Mr. We're going to do this. Rather than tell you what I love about how hardworking and dependable these two amazing fifth grade teachers are, I'm going to read what their colleagues said. Jess and Nicole work so hard to make every student feel welcome and make sure every student who walks through their door of their classroom has what they need academically, physically, and emotionally. They don't simply teach, they go the extra mile to make learning fun and engaging. CMS students are so lucky to have Nicole and Jess as teachers, and I am so fortunate to have them as colleagues. Quote, their ability to scaffold learning, this is a different colleague, by the way. There were 7, I had to kind of pair them Their ability to scaffold learning, break down complex concepts into manageable steps has allowed students to grow with confidence and autonomy. They skillfully design curricula that are accessible to all, ensuring every student feels included and supported. Their engaging and motivating classroom management strategies create a fun learning environment that fosters enthusiasm and participation. As collaborative partners, they are always easy to work with. They offer clear and effective communication. Most importantly, Nicole and Jess show genuine love and care for each student and adult around them. Beyond the classroom, this teacher goes on, their dedication is honorable, whether it's leading the garden club, spreading positivity through the Sunshine Committee, or simply being a source of support for everyone around them. Their passion and kindness make such a difference, and I feel so lucky to work alongside them. They both are a testament to their field and an asset to our school, especially how they show care, commitment, and tenacity to help each and every student. Congratulations. Shall we get open it up next?
Well done, thank you.
AJ, come on up. All right. I love this first line. What does that say? AJ is a friend to all students. He handles all interpersonal situations in class with grace and a high level of maturity, which is a huge compliment in middle school. He is an excellent student who cares about his success in class. He always works his best and puts in a maximum effort. His attitude and work ethic are second to none in the 7th grade. AJ is polite and respectful to all, and he is a grade 7 role model. Congratulations, AJ. You got this. Thank you.
Great job.
Save the best for last.
Yeah.
Principal Sylvia.
All right. This evening, our staff of the month is Mr. B, the CES MVP. This is Adam Ressler, and we are recognize him. He is our BCBA at the Clinton Elementary School. As a board-certified behavior analyst, Adam, or Mr. B as we call him, responds to many situations that are often dysregulated or when students are in crisis. He was nominated several times by his colleagues, and here are some of the things that his colleagues wanted to be recognized for. Adam is an imperative member of our school community. He advocates for both student and staff needs. He remains calm and supportive, even in the most challenging times. Adam is a great support of all our programs. He works collaboratively with administration to proactively plan meaningful professional development for staff and adjust plans for students. He has a sense of humor that helps keep everyone at ease, even if there is a student in crisis. He is always willing to do what it takes to make sure the student gets what they need. Mr. B was referred to in a few other nominations as the unsung hero, the calm of the storm, the answer to all problems, the CES MVP. He loves attention. Adam arrives to school each day. He puts on his walkies and goes on to solve all the problems at CES. Adam has many superpowers, and as soon as he enters the room during a crisis, the energy immediately calms. Like the minute he walks in, it's just fixed, right? Adam comes to meetings solution-focused rather than focusing on the problem, and he aims to find a solution with all parties collaboratively. Many student success stories have Adam as a crucial team member at the center. Adam keeps the challenges light with a witty comment here and there every day to bring everyone down when things are high. I couldn't agree more with these nominations, and I'm so proud to recognize a team member that we so value at CES. From there, this one first.
After that, I'm gonna have to transfer you to my office.
He's solution focused.
Great job.
All right, and also tonight, we will recognize two students who exemplify the values of our school community, Danica Brandt and Addison Ruard. These two young leaders are the epitome of what CES strives for in its students. They always make the right choices, and their actions reflect the qualities of safe, respectful, and responsible behavior. It's no surprise that when their families received a call from the principal, they were initially concerned. We pranked them real good, didn't we? These students are known consistently for upholding the highest standards. When you walk into their third grade classrooms, you will always find them doing what is asked of them, but also going above and beyond through their own curiosity. They extend their learning not because they have to, but because they are internally motivated to grow and help others do the same. At CES, we talk about leadership beyond just the title, and both Danica and Addison truly embody that philosophy. They lead by example every day. They mentor our kindergarten students, demonstrating patience, flexibility, and responsibility. In order to support these younger students, they know they must fulfill their own responsibilities and complete their work. When they enter Ms. Zinkis' classroom, their positive influence is clear. They set a timer and immediately get to work with their students, encouraging their young mentees who look up to them and strive to impress their older mentors. CES is incredibly proud to honor both of these remarkable students. We know the qualities they demonstrate today will serve them well throughout their educational journey and beyond. Congratulations to Addison and Brent.
Congratulations.
She got that from you. Yeah, she got that from you. Grammy teach you all that, huh?
All right, so typically, yeah, I don't know if you,
So that concludes the celebration portion of the agenda. For those of you that weren't planning on staying for the rest of the meeting, you can,
if you
Take-
want to go take
take
pictures
this
in the
time.
hallway or
Yes,
something,
yeah.
we will not be offended, so.
Cheryl, you got room in your car for one more? Good job, Robert. Take them all with you. Don't leave any kids behind. I was going to have bring Steven, but he was too busy. Yeah. I know. I was just thinking, like, I'm looking down here, I don't see anything else. Like, am I missing?
I know,
Oh,
that's what I
okay.
was looking at too, but
oh, it's not. The live stream.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do we need to delete it?
Is it, do you need, are we okay now? We're all set. Okay. Did we get it recorded?
We're recording, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We're just not able to live stream, so we're not getting internet connection to the internet.
Okay, so the live stream's just not working, but we will have the recording that we'll post.
And we'll
Okay.
have it posted.
All right.
All right, do we have any public comment tonight? No? Do we have a student rep? How about the CTA?
Good evening. Hi, just wanted to let you know that Rep. Meg Kilcoyne reached out to CTA and is asking for a meeting to talk about budgets. We're trying to work out a date, and I'll keep you posted. So, I want to let you
Great,
know.
thank you. And the PTA?
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We know why Mr. Varakis isn't here. Anyway. So our latest update, we are still at 147 members for the PTA. Our family bingo took place on Friday, March 14th. It was very successful, a little less crowded than we had expected, but logistically ran as smooth as we could have asked. So that was quite impressive to us. We raised nearly $3,000, and anything left over in terms of prizes and concessions will be used for future events. At our March meeting, we approved the following fund requests. First grade received $940 for field trip busing. Fourth grade received $1,876 for field trip busing and $990 towards their end-of-year T-shirts. CHS seniors received $950 for their after-prom activities. And we gave $104 to LPAC for their multicultural night supplies. So it was an exciting meeting to give away money, which is always a good time. The PTA scholarship application is open with the deadline coming up April 30th, which will be here before you know it, 'cause it's already the end of March. There will be a minimum of 1 and maximum of 4 scholarships awarded that range from $500 to $2,000 each. Fund requests for teachers are still open. They must be made in person at the next meeting, which is April 3rd. We have our CMS Spring Book Fair coming up April 14th through 18th. We want to make a strong plea for volunteers for this book fair and any other additional events we have coming up. Due to schedule changes with the board, a lot of us have got some daytime commitments or jobs that, pay money. And so we are definitely going to be in need of some volunteers to make all of those things run smoothly now. We're going to be pushing for that. Our plans for teacher appreciation are in the works, and we'll be holding a raffle that will be at each school for any PTA teacher members that will be eligible to win. And they will include not only limited to a mobile cart, tote, and supplies, and passes to the New England Botanic Garden at Tower Hill. They were a little late getting back to us about bingo, but wanted to do something, so they donated 6 passes, so we can give away 2 to the teacher that wins that raffle. Tomorrow, all of us are attending the PTO Today Expo in Marlboro, where we will collect more ideas, enter to win cool swag, and learn about more activities that we can say no to. Hopefully. Becky said she promised to say no. It's a great opportunity for learning and making some contacts. Our Bitly website is still up at Clinton PTA website, and our next meeting is on April 3rd. We're not slowing down.
Wonderful.
So, if you have any questions, just let us know.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much for all you do. Anything from CPAC or LPAC tonight? There being none, I will turn it over to you,
All right, thank you.
Dr. Meyer.
So the first thing we have is a staffing update. We do have 2 retirement letters that came in. One was Susan Landestown, CES speech language pathologist, so she'll be retiring at the end of the year. We wish her well. And Marilyn Tierney put in her letter, and she will be retiring at the end of June. However, we are probably going to have her stay on in sort of a part-time role to kind of transition the payroll and particularly a lot of the stuff she does with the MTRS retirement system. So that's reflected in the budget at this point. And actually, while she stays in the part-time role, we're not going to fill the position. We're going to kind of pick it up in our office. The next one we had was a FIRST Robotics update, I believe.
So quick update, we just finished wrapping up this past weekend our WPI competition. And 3 weeks from now, we have the Springfield competition. And right now, we are ranked 87. And in order to make Springfield, it's the top 96 teams. So there is a competition this upcoming weekend that we are not participating in. We have to wait for the results in that because our rank could change depending on the results. So after next weekend, we should get an idea if we're invited to the competition or not. We have all the travel details, permission slips, and budgeting for the trip, so we will be ready if we are invited. So yeah.
And one of the reasons why we wanted to just update you on that, because that is one of the, that would be an overnight trip, at least for some of them,
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Great,
Well, I
thank
hope
you.
your ranking stays up there.
Hope so. Thank you.
All right, we have a facilities update. I think Facilities Director Farragher is going to talk about his update.
Hi there.
Good evening, how are you? Everyone has the report, I assume.
We do.
Okay, so I'll just hit some of the highlights. If there's any questions, feel free. First, our staffing level, we're down one custodian, but we did just recently hire second shift custodian, which means all buildings are fully staffed. They're on their onboarding pre-employment phase right now, so they haven't started yet, but we're hoping like the second week of April. And then all 3 schools will be fully staffed. So we've been working on that for a while, but we're in a good spot now. Couple updates on some of the larger ticket items. The elementary school chiller went out to bid in December. We awarded a contract to Renaud HVAC for the amount of $434,000. Where right now the piece of equipment has been ordered. So we're trying to figure out schedule-wise, and we'll have to talk to the school administration, and I'm not sure if it's better when the kids are out of school, most likely, but we're still working out those details. Same with the high school, that went out to bid in December. And it's Carrier Corporation who won that bid, and the contract for $386,000. These projects are gonna be funded through grant money and ARPA. The high school project, we received an air quality grant for the amount of, I think there's $357,000 and some change. So 100% of that grant is gonna be used to fund the chiller project at the high school, with the remaining funds coming from ARPA. So it's nothing that's in the budget, it's all grant and ARPA money. The elementary school is, a good portion is ARPA funds that is gonna pay that project. And the remaining is I want to say a 2022 warrant article, town warrant article, that was specifically for the replacement chiller at the elementary school. So those are both fully funded. Some other items. So we have the 2 chiller projects, ARPA and grant money, and we also have the resurfacing of the tennis courts that we just need to kind of coordinate around the spring season. But that went out to bid in December as well, and this is going to be funded through ARPA. We awarded the contract to East Coast Seal Coating for the amount of $59,400. And again, that's something that we're hoping to get done after the season, early summer, depending on the weather. And that should really increase the usage of the tennis court and kind of shore those cracks up and buy another 8 to 10 years of a nice clean surface. So we're looking forward to getting those projects done. And then a lot of it, spring field prep work for the spring season. We're getting all the baseball fields ready. The grounds team's doing a great job making sure they can get onto the fields. We're going to be maintaining the middle school fields for one more spring. And I know, Steve, I don't know if you spoke about the new fields that we're looking to put in, or
Yeah, so right now, it's still kind of in a very preliminary stage, but we're trying to get some quotes. We got a quote on what it would cost to put in sort of like an infield across the street, kind of between the soccer field at the end and the field hockey field, and we're working on getting the quotes to look at what it might be to put a backstop and some fencing in there, so that we could make a baseball, basically cut a baseball field in across the street, since we'll be losing the baseball field up behind the middle school. And we kind of already restored the.
Yeah, we had a contractor come in for the softball field at the practice side of this side of the high school.
Yeah.
So that is just to make sure the bases and mounds are regulation, and they've been measured and kind of resurfaced, so that's ready to go now. We did that in the fall, right before the winter.
And one of the things we're looking at, though, is to try to see if it might be feasible to do that project out of the rental facilities account, the baseball field project. So it's probably something that we could connect to the building project itself, but if it were to be part of that project, it's something that wouldn't happen till the very end of the project, which would mean it would occur, you'd be talking about 2028 or something like that, which means we would be down to one baseball field for, 3 years or something like that. So, which is fine if that's how it ends up being, but we're looking to see what the total cost is, to see if it's possible with our rental facilities account, if we could maybe do that now. That way we don't have any, we don't go down to one field, and then it's not something that gets kind of like tacked on to that project.
We do have an initial price from one contractor to install the infield, and then I have 3 different meetings at the end of this month with fence companies to try and get 3 different proposals to see what it would take to make the dugouts and the backstops and things like that. So I'll have more information in the next couple of weeks as far as like total pricing.
Yeah, and once we kind of have a set on the total pricing, then we'll kind of figure out if it's something feasible or not based on the balance in that account. And then if it is, we'll have to start navigating what channels we might need to do with, formal school committee approval of a design and planning board and whatever else we might need to go to.
And other than that, I just kind of wanted to break down, just so you have it, just again, the ARPA funds that were allocated to the schools, and then the grants, kind of the totals, just to see that there are kind of big chunks of funding that are going to assist with some of these projects that we might not have been able to do all at once with just the town budget or town warrant articles. So we're spending the money, putting it to good use and getting some stuff done, in a quicker fashion than we typically probably would have. So does anyone have any questions on anything in the report?
Appreciate it, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Brian. Under academic achievement, we have a few proposed curriculum changes. So the curriculum committee has met and talked about some of these things. So these are some things that are kind of in progress that you probably can see, expect to see next year. First one for grades 3 through 8, we are part of the Advanced Learning Pilot Program. We do have a team that is working on that. And this year it's really focusing more on Tier 1. And I think one of the key aspects of the Advanced Learning Pilot that is important is that one of the main things that they're really trying to look at is advanced learning through an equity lens. Traditionally, advanced learning, a lot of times when people hear that, they think of just a traditional, like, sort of gifted and talented type program, or maybe there's a standardized test score or something like that that was required. They're very much looking at, part of the reason why it's a pilot is because it's very much looking at how can we try to engage all learners into sort of this advanced learning concept when they're ready. Even if it's just, certain topics or certain subject areas or certain things like that. So it really is a pilot from the state that really is part of, I think it fits into what we want to do with our multi-tiered system of support and really providing that equitable access to that learning. Grades K to 8, we should see a new health and PE curriculum going for next year. It's through catch.org. I think we talked about it before briefly, but it is it's an online curriculum that is tied to the Massachusetts Health and Wellness Standards. It's not I'd say it's not, it doesn't necessarily address every single one, but it aligns pretty closely. It's something that's kind of being sort of endorsed. I don't know if it's a formal endorsement, but kind of endorsed by the state through their training, as far as one that gives you sort of a core backbone for the aligning to those standards. Grades 5 and 6, and really only starting with 6th grade next year, looking at just restructuring our time on learning a little more, to try to get some more focus on science and history. Just kind of the evolution of the schedule. It's become pretty unbalanced in terms of the amount of minutes that are kind of allocated to math and ELA versus history and science. So we're just trying to make some tweaks. It's one of the things that Principal Steffi's working on with his team, is to see how they can maybe tweak that schedule to make it a little more equitable. We'll still keep probably a heavier focus on the math and the ELA, but making sure that we're still paying respect to the standards and the learning in science and history. In grades 7 and 8 next year, we're looking to have introductory Spanish replace executive functioning as one of the specials that they have. If you remember this year, the executive functioning teacher left early in the year. We were sort of anticipating this as a change. So when we did replace that, we actually have a long-term sub right now who's sort of running a Latin American cultures course. And it's going well. And next year, our goal is to make that a little more into an introductory Spanish. Grade 8 history, we received a grant for training and implementation to support the Democratic Knowledge Project in grade 8 history. This will help better align our 8th grade history to the civics curriculum and the civics standards and the civics test that we have now. It's really considered a much more project-based type curriculum for history that's not trying to get away from just sort of rote memorization, but really looking at primary sources and pictures and those types of things, and kind of making those connections to history. And it was something that when we started this process before our middle school history department chair went and did some research, I got to exposed to it at the 1-8 Leadership Summit over the summer, because it is like really a project-based curriculum that they're trying to focus on to promote deeper learning. And it was the kind of the sample lesson we did was really engaging, and I thought it was very thoughtful. So we kind of ran with that through the curriculum committee. In grades 9 through 11, and beginning with grade 9 only next year, one of the other changes that we're making to our history curriculum is previously we had taught sort of, it was like a 3-year sequence of like world history, US 1, US 2, and what we're kind of shifting towards, and sort of what I think the general consensus, sort of the education is shifting towards, is really kind of integrating all those. So instead of really teaching sort of the United States as just a standalone and kind of going through like one period of time from the United States perspective and then kind of repeating the same period of time through sort of like a world perspective, is trying to make sure that we're sort of weaving all the topics of how all those events really interact with each other. Grade 9, we're going to be going back to having biology as the freshman science course. For the past few years, it's been Intro to Physics. There were a few different reasons why that switch may have occurred back when it occurred. At least one of them was, I think, that you had the graduation requirement of taking the MCAS, and the test that the school was really focusing on was Intro to Physics. We don't have that requirement anymore, so we're going to move back to having biology as the freshman course. And biology was always an option that you could take to fulfill your science requirement, so that's not really the only reason. But I also think that the physics, one of the things we talked about is how it can be challenging sometimes to do like an Intro to Physics with freshmen, because it's kind of being concurrently with algebra, so shifting that a little bit. It's a more traditional sequence. We, by the nature of the makeup of our science department right now, we have ample teachers who hold a biology certification to allow us to make the switch, because we'll have freshmen and kind of sophomores concurrently taking biology. Grades 10 through 12, as a starting as elective, but we will be, we offer civil engineering and architecture as a class now, but we'll be adopting the Project Lead the Way curriculum. Project Lead the Way is also, it's a nationally recognized project-based curriculum. We received a grant to support that. And one of the big advantages, I think, to kind of shifting to some of these curriculum, like a Project Lead the Way type program, is they are constantly revising that curriculum, right? And sometimes with these, particular technology or even computer science, which is the other one that we use Project Lead the Way for in the high school, things are constantly changing, right? And Project Lead the Way at the middle school. And they'll continue to kind of revise and update their curriculum to help make sure that we're staying fresh and teaching the most current technology. And they have training that goes with that. We were awarded a grant to support that. And grade 10, I put grade 10, I probably should say grade 9 and 10. But there will be some changes to the freshman and sophomore experience courses that we've been running. Particularly, freshman experience are going to add a component of that course. If you remember the freshman sophomore experience, it was kind of short days that they kind of cycled throughout the year, about 30 days each, and they went through kind of 6 different modules. One of the things we'll be adding in 9th, 10th grade is computer skills, including things like trying to teach a little about artificial intelligence and even some other things that are more basic, like spreadsheets and word processing and that kind of stuff. But the idea is to get more sort of that computer, concrete kind of career-based computer skills as well. And for sophomore experience, adding a financial literacy component. So that's something that we're supposed to be adding in schools, and we're going to start by adding it there, so all students will get at least a financial literacy unit in grade 10. The page immediately following that has recent grants. I kind of put these back to back on purpose because you can see a lot of these sort of support the same thing. The Advanced Learning Pilot, we received a $10,000 grant to support our work there. Project Lead the Way, we got a $40,000 grant to support the implementation of the engineering pathway. That is for over 3 years. The goal is to expand that to 3 courses over 3 years. Democratic Knowledge Project launch, $12,580 for the training and implementation support. And the last one we had was $3,700 for the Financial Education Innovation Fund. That one will actually be used this year for the Credit for Life Fair, but it kind of tied into that financial literacy piece. So there's a lot of those changes. A lot of those changes are also supported by funding that we're getting on other fronts. The page immediately after that is just sort of a recap. This is our FY24 and FY25 federal entitlement grants. The only reason that I'm including this in here right now, since we were doing grant updates, is just as a note. I was at on Friday, I attended a meeting hosted by Congresswoman Trahan up at Monty Tech, and she met with superintendents on Friday. And the main focus of that topic was essentially the closing or reduction of the United States Department of Education, and kind of talking about what those impacts are at the local level. And one of the things we shared, I shared specifically, was that, while if the, U.S. Department of Ed closes, there's going to be a lot of, different changes that we're not sure. Some might not. Some might just live in a different department and be the same. Some things might change. But the most direct one is, if you're thinking about sort of federal funding to the school level, are these entitlement grants. So just to quantify some of that, this year we received $1,149,445 in entitlement grants. Those are supporting, so Title I is basically supplemental educational services. It's basically based off of your economically disadvantaged numbers. Title IIA is a teacher quality improvement grant. Title III is to support English language learners. Title IVA is more kind of more like a well-rounded education grant. IDEA 240 is special education, supplemental support, and IDEA 262 is pre-K. So basically of that $1.149 million, just over $1 million of it goes directly to salaries. So about 91% of that those entitlement grants fund salaries, including under the IDEA, which is the federal special education law. The funding that went with that was, we have $629,000 that we use, and that funds 21.6 of our IAs in the district. So it works out to about maybe 40% or so of our IAs. So so anyway, that would be sort of the direct kind of impact, possibly. There has been indications, I know some of it has said that they're not necessarily looking to eliminate all this funding. Right now, part of what they're trying to do is just sort of have it administered by different departments. But that is just one thing that we need to watch out for, because this funding is sort of separate from it's always been handled sort of separate as an entitlement grant that has been kind of separate from the general fund budget. So if these grants were to be dramatically reduced, some services that would either have to be some services might have to either be eliminated, or if there are ones that we can't eliminate, because it's like if it's an IA that's funded, that's providing a service that's legally in a student's IEP, we're going to have to fund that another way, and it's going to have to replace something else in the budget. So it's just something to keep an eye on as we go through the budget season, which is a transition into budget version B. So I don't know, Annette, you wanted to come on up? So we'll talk quickly about budget version B and share a few things with you. March 24th, obviously that's today. We're going to just share with you the budget version B that we've come up with right now. March 25th, tomorrow, is a Town of Clinton insurance meeting with our consultant. I was involved in a meeting, kind of like a pre-meeting for that last week, and I'd say that the news does not seem to be significantly better than it was. So we'll see where they are tomorrow, but some of the options that they're still kind of looking at are there any maybe plan adjustments we could make to reduce the premiums, which kind of would shift some of it more towards co-pays and deductibles, and the other would be maybe offering like a high deductible plan that would have a lower premium that people could opt into if they wanted to try to save some money, but there's a little bit of that education that goes with that, understanding that you're signing up for a high deductible plan, so if you use it until you pay that deductible, you'll have a lot more immediate out-of-pocket expenses. April 10th is what we are scheduled. We're scheduled to present our budget to the Finance Committee, and that's at 5:30 in the Town Chamber. So once we review budget version B with you today, unless there's any major feedback from the school committee, it's probably the same budget we would share with the Finance Committee. And then April 14th is our budget public hearing. That's an opportunity then for anyone who, now that we've kind of shared budget version B, if they have any comments on it, we can share those at that meeting on April 14th. And hopefully shortly after that or around then, we'd be getting some more information from either the Finance Committee or the state as far as where we are in the budget process. Some of the unknowns that we have, I kind of highlighted them there. I know federal funding, I just kind of talked about entitlement grants. There's also the other implication for other state funding, basically like our indirect funding is sort of the way I'd say it. So it might not be, entitlement grants come directly to the school district, but money that kind of gets filtered through the state, even if it's not necessarily for education, could have an impact on what the state can fund in education, which is why the next one I have is state funding. Chapter 70, there haven't been any updates since the governor's budget. The governor's budget was about what we expected. It showed about a $1.4 million increase to Chapter 70 as part of the Student Opportunity Act. We're hoping that that stays fairly consistent and that they continue to focus on funding that act as it is written. Local funding, that's an unknown with the insurance costs and how that's going to impact anything. And the final one is just the collective bargaining agreements. We have 3 collective bargaining agreements, and currently all of them are in negotiations. And we are hoping that we'll continue to make progress in those negotiations. So kind of a summary for budget version B. The next one has some proposed staffing cuts. So basically, if you remember, our preliminary budget had an increase of about $3 million, I think it was, and we knew that that was, not what we were going to ask for, but that was sort of, with our preliminary budget, we always try to start with, what things would look like, kind of if we thought we were going to, had everything we needed to operate. We went through for budget version A, we cut, I think it was almost $600,000 out.
Yep.
And that was mostly in non-personnel items. And then our goal was to try to get it down so that our increase matched our Chapter 70 increase. So try to get basically the bottom line was we were trying to get that $3 million increase down to about a $1.4 million increase. So these were the positions that we came up with. So the first change would be to eliminate the assistant superintendent position. That would require some school committee input, because technically you hire the assistant superintendent, so we can talk about that in a minute. Replace that with for this year, we would want to replace that for next year, I guess, replace that with a special education director. We still need to have someone in charge of the special education. And then what we would do is we would review the special education structure once we filled that vacancy. So there are some internal staff that hold the appropriate licensure, so we don't know who would fill that. And then obviously once that title is, once that position is filled, then we would see what other changes might need to be made. Retirement, payroll, eliminating a payroll position, full-time payroll position, reducing that to part-time. I mentioned that earlier, that was due to a retirement. Family outreach, currently we have 3 family liaisons. What we're trying to do is, originally we were talking about eliminating one of the family liaison positions. After meeting with the family liaisons and looking at sort of how it's funded with Title III, it was essentially about the same amount to look at reducing 2 of the positions to school year only. Currently all 3 of them were full year, and that was kind of a suggestion that the family liaisons were proposed. So that's what we're carrying right now. And part of that has to do with, in Title III, although it says 1.0 FTE, I can only fund a portion of each salary through Title III because I can only do it based on the percentage of their caseload that would qualify for Title III services, which was the English learner one. So I can't put an entire salary in there unless that person is exclusively working with English families who are English learners. So because it has to sort of be distributed kind of based on a percentage of our enrollment, eliminating a position doesn't necessarily save a full amount from the budget because I can't recoup that from the grant portion. The high school, looking at a reduction in force for the Dean of Students position. This was originally funded with ESSER. We first added these positions. We did try to make them, we kept them in the teachers union. We didn't add them as standalone like administrative positions because we did anticipate there might be a day when it was not sustainable and that we would want to, if appropriate, leave those people the opportunity to kind of bounce back in their union. So the Dean of Students at the high school, we're going to eliminate 1 special education teacher at the high school. This is currently vacant. This position actually I think was vacant in the beginning of the year due to maternity leave, and then there was a resignation once the person returned from maternity. So it's currently not filled right now. We'd be eliminating that. And with the elimination of some of the MCAS retake preparation classes next year, we should be able to absorb it in the schedule. And foreign language, a few years ago we did add French as another foreign language, and we kept our 3 Spanish teachers. So for next year, we'll be going down to 2 Spanish teachers and 1 French teacher. Although that would be sort of a riff at the high school, we do believe that that position will be able to move over to do the introductory Spanish position at the middle school. At the middle school, similarly, Dean of Students would be a reduction in force. That was originally funded with ESSER. There's a math interventionist position that we added with some ESSER funds originally, following the coming back from COVID. There's an anticipated resignation there, so we're planning on eliminating that position. And for the music teacher, we're planning on reducing that by 0.5, so that'll leave us 1.5 music teachers at the middle school. And it shouldn't impact, we should still be able to teach the same amount of music classes. We should still be able to have ensembles. What it will impact probably is some of the lessons that they've been able to do with some of those students, because I'll have some less time with that. But we'll work that out. And then ultimately, that'll be one of the things that we'll try to figure out. I mean, while this is something that's necessary next year, I believe next year we're really going to have to start mapping out what's the staffing, really start mapping out the staffing pattern for when the new school opens 2 years down the road and 4th grade goes there. And I don't know if it's something at that time we might need to restore to a full 2 positions or not. Currently, our music teacher, so anyone that we anticipated would be impacted on this list, preliminary discussions with, we didn't want anyone finding out about this at a school committee meeting. So we tried to do our best to have those conversations. And currently, the music teacher who would be reduced indicated that she would be willing to, with sort of preliminary indication, she'd be willing to stay on in that reduced role, and then we'd see how that goes moving forward. At the elementary school, we did add an 8th section of kindergarten this year based on the high enrollment numbers, so we are budgeting that back down to 7, and so that's sort of showing a kindergarten section with a teacher and an IA. We also have a 4th grade teacher who will be on maternity leave. We're going to plan on not filling that position. We approved that leave last meeting, excuse me. And there's a school year administrative assistant at that building too that we're looking to do a reduction in force there. There's a note on there that some of the staff holding those positions impacted by RIF may have bumping rights, so it's one of those things to realize that, just because someone holds one of these positions doesn't necessarily mean that person wouldn't have a job, because there's sort of seniority and other licensure and things like that play into that. So that's what we're looking at right now. And I guess the one thing I would say with this is it's fluid, right? Like anything, we don't know what can change between now and, the final budget. We don't know what could change between now and the beginning of the school year. So we're constantly looking to try to, support our existing employees as best we can and handle those types of things so that, if other openings pop up because of anything that comes up, we might look to see how could we sort of maybe move things around. And then obviously we got to see what final budget numbers look like and those types of things. There's a lot of unknowns. There's some placeholders in our budget right now because of those unknowns. And as we every time we can finalize one of those, then that means we can go back and make whatever those changes are, whether they're positive changes or tightening the belt type changes. So it is still a moving target, but this is kind of the plan that we came up with right now based on the assumptions that we're operating under for budget version B. So then there's a line item of budget version B in here. Basically summarizes those. Those were the primary changes. One of the, most of those are what you see here in their reductions in that last column. It says like A to B difference. So you can see kind of where those changes were. There is one of the ones that I just wanted to highlight. There are 2 increases. One was under athletics, under athletic transportation. That's one we'll probably have to go back and revisit. I'm sure athletics is one we'll have to revisit in general. But the athletic director brought it to our attention, sort of that our transportation bill was significantly higher than it had been budgeted originally. So we are trying to adjust that. I like to blame it on the fact that so many of our programs are winning and we have to take them to all these playoff games, but we'll see.
Steve,
yeah.
I think that is it.
Yeah.
No, but at what point, because unless you get to like the finals, the MIA doesn't reimburse you, is that correct? So, you know, all these rounds, it's great that we're making it, but all these rounds we're playing, it is.
Yeah, I mean, you get a little bit of kind of the MIA stuff, but yeah, a lot of times if it's a home game and you're getting the gate, it's offsetting a lot of the cost with it too, so. And there was a little bit of increase there in electricity. That was one of the things covered in Director Farragher's report about the finishing of our light upgrades. So it is something that has it's an energy efficiency type upgrade that does have a return on investment that should pay for itself. But the initial costs, we need to finish that project before that funding period ends up. So all in all, we eliminated, this version eliminated $677,000 and got us to exactly an increase of $1,434,947 over last year's budget, which is, basically breaks down to a 4.71 increase if you're looking at the general fund. But that basically comes down to a 7% increase in state aid and 0% from local contributions. So that's how it's set up right now. And I think this is the budget that I would recommend that we present to the Finance Committee. Once we get their impact on it, or their feedback on it, then we can figure out if there's anything else. Any questions on it? So I do think that the only thing I would probably need is technically the position of Assistant Superintendent is hired by the school committee, and technically the position of Director of Special Education is hired by the school committee. They're usually both considered sort of not necessarily the same like direct hire as like a superintendent, but they have to approve the candidate that we put forth. Part of the checks and balances in the way the system is worded. So if you're comfortable with that, I guess I would look for a motion to move forward with eliminating the assistant superintendent position and replacing it with the director of special education.
So move. Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Steve, do we have to endorse this budget that you present, or, I don't know.
I don't think you need to take a formal vote on it yet unless you feel like you need to. I feel like that with the amount of unknowns right now, it's still very much a draft. I think it's what we present to the Finance Committee. And then, like I said, we will have the budget public hearing as well on April 14th. There will be a time for public comment there. And then right around then, that's probably going to be, probably the meeting after April 14th, which I actually think with the break in there is like early in May. At that point, after we've gotten Finance Committee feedback, we've gotten a public feedback from the public hearing, we'd probably have to put together one that we would need a formal vote to say, yes, this is the one we want to move forward with.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, Annette, I didn't, I'll tell you, the other thing I should point out here is that Annette did include some reports in here. Sorry. I want to give you some credit. You did a lot of good work here. And these are things that we'll include in our presentation to the Finance Committee, but there's like a circuit breaker sheet here. One thing that you can see is the way circuit breaker works. Circuit breaker can be a little bit confusing. It's kind of like, the way I think about it, circuit breaker is kind of like a 3-year process. So the way we've been doing it, we spend the money, we spend money on special education services in the first year. The second year, we receive a reimbursement for those. And then typically the way we handle it is we don't spend those that year as we receive them. We spend them the year after because you're allowed to defer it one year. So it's sort of like a 3-year process. So right now, in FY '25, we are going to receive $1.68 million in circuit breaker. So we're receiving those payments like quarterly from the state. And that number was based on our claim from our expenditures in FY '24. And we're not spending that money right now, we're spending the money we got from the year before, so that's the money that we budget for next year, that 1.68 million. So that's what we have, that is reflected in that sheet. We subtracted that out to get to that bottom line. I will make you aware, we are in a good position the way this is done, and this was the practice that was being used before I got here, and it's a great practice, is spending that the year after, which you're allowed to do. Because what it means is that if you run into a year where you have a spike in like an out-of-district placement that wasn't budgeted or something like that, where you go over in tuition, you could use that money that we're planning on spending next year, but we could use it this year if we needed to. So it keeps you from having to have any type of like, it almost serves as sort of like a
Circuit breaker.
yeah, I guess that's why it's called that, right? So it's the circuit breaker, so that it doesn't, you're quick, no, but so that's there. So, and then all that would mean for us, like if we had to tap into that at any point, which I am informing you that because it's possible we might need to do that a little bit at the end of this year, it could impact what you want to budget the following year, depending on how much it is. I mean, it wouldn't have to impact the next year, but then you're just chasing it now, and now you're, instead of being a full year behind, you become, 8 or a year ahead, whatever you want to look at it, you become like, 80% of a year ahead. But it is something that we could also correct for in the future, and then try to adjust in a budget year where it might be more palatable. So. That's circuit breaker, and the next one is school choice. You can see our school choice in has been going down. Most of that is because we're not accepting school choice right now due to our enrollment below grade 7. So we do have, fairly routinely in our office, we'll have students who, in the elementary school who might move, and we have to inform them that they have to enroll in their district of residence. That might be something once we, if the new building opens, if we get the 4th grade up there, it might be something we can revisit, because we might have more capacity at that point to kind of reopen the school choice. But right now, I'd say with the enrollment at the elementary school, it's pretty full. So what you can see is that we had been carrying quite a bit in salaries in school choice. We had essentially been, for a few years there, overspending our school choice. We knew it. I mean, it wasn't like an accident. It was planning for the budget, but it was essentially spending a little bit more than we were receiving because there was a balance in there. That balance is starting to dwindle a little bit. What we are trying to do is keep our school choice spending for next year below our anticipated revenue, because I anticipate that not in FY26, not in FY27, but in FY28, when the Student Opportunity Act is done, we are going to probably be in a situation where we're going to rely a little more on school choice to work with the budget that year. So those are our estimates at this point. Those do kind of change each quarter, and we'll get sort of a final update at the end of the year based on special education adjustments that they've made. And the page after that just shows a summary of sending and receiving districts, because that's normally the next question people have is, where are these kids going, or where are they coming from? And that's there, so you can see that. As far as students going, our biggest change was to Neshoba, and that, I think similarly, Neshoba had just recently opened limited school choice slots back up. They had theirs closed for quite a while. So that is, I think, Now I gave Annette credit for her reports. I think that is our budget.
Thank you, Annette.
The next thing in here is, this is a copy of the Student Opportunity Act plan that we had to submit. This was submitted last year. It highlights sort of the key strategies that we wanted to try to fund. The only reason I'm putting it in here is one of the things we have to do is we have to provide an update to the state every year. Every 3 years you have to submit a plan, which is what we did last year. You guys voted to approve this plan, and it wasn't in this form. This is kind of the state's generic form that they posted in. But you voted to approve this plan, and what we have to do is we have to provide an update every year. So we've been working on that update, and really what you look at is, there are certain strategies in here around, trying to, increase pre-K, access to pre-K, high-quality curriculum, social emotional learning needs. Those are kind of some of the key ones. And so what we've been doing is been working on this update to try to submit that. This is due by April 1st. So we will submit that update, and we'll get you a copy of the final update that we submit. But I just wanted to keep you informed of it. This is one of the things that I did share with our legislators, that when they did the Student Opportunity Act, they put into this play that they added in the law that every 3 years districts had to submit a Student Opportunity Act plan, and then every year in between those 3 years they had to do an update. And it seemed like a good idea. Like at the beginning you're like, okay, that makes sense, I guess. And then you read the law and you realize that even though the Student Opportunity Act phases in over 6 years, the way the law is written, you're going to have to do these plans forever. So that was one of the things we did let the legislators know, is maybe you can take that forever clause out of there. Like, I understand when you were infusing districts with money, you wanted to kind of have people a little bit accountable on, like, how is it being spent? Or at least have to have, get stakeholder input and share that. But once it's in place, there's a lot of districts, every district has to do this, even if they were a beneficiary, if they weren't really a beneficiary of the Student Opportunity Act. So there are, I guess sort of like us this year, right? Part of what you're saying is, there's positions we're eliminating because of the budget, and but you try to just say what progress we made, and we share the student data. So we'll get you a copy of that. Just wanted to kind of let you know that that is a requirement, and we are working on it. Building project update. After the Student Opportunity Act plan, there's a few slides I put in here from one of the last meetings. One of them, on the 28th of February, we got the approval from the Conservation Commission, basically saying that there is not a wetland, there are no wetlands over there that are be disturbed. We have received bids for geothermal package number 1, which is for the geothermal wells. The planning board approved the site plan review on March 4th. Those were kind of big hurdles, and that had to go out. The planning board sends that out to an independent reviewer, and we had to work through that. And early site bid package was put out to bid. Those are due on Wednesday, which is the next meeting. We have a meeting Wednesday to do the 60% package meeting. So what does that mean? So the next one, the next major milestone with this is the 60% construction drawing. So at each kind of step along the way, they kind of refine things. The 60% is a big one. That's kind of one that a lot of your final sort of estimates are going to be based off of. There'll still be some changes as we go through, but this one is supposed to be a pretty good estimate. So they're working on having their estimators, the project manager and the construction manager are having their estimators look at it. They'll reconcile those, and we'll have the building committee meeting on the 26th, and then we have to submit that to the MSBA so that they can start looking at it as far as making sure it aligns with their grant funding stuff. There's just a couple other things I left on here. It's from the slide, but just some things. Furniture samples. So May 9th is a professional development day, a half-day professional development day. We're looking to get furniture samples at the middle school so that the teachers can kind of actually look at some of the things they've seen, so we can kind of see what we think of them in person. The early structural bid package, so basically steel and concrete, that'll go out on the 21st. There was a big conversation around the structural bidding. One of the things that they're looking at is trying to almost look at how you can word the bids so that the impact of tariffs can be sort of like a separate, almost like a separately handled line. One of the concerns is that if you don't break it out like that, what you could run into is getting sort of artificially large bids because people are just assuming the worst tariff if they have to bring steel in from Canada, and then if that tariff were to be reduced or go away or something like that in the future, you could then sort of be bound kind of to this bid that you accepted. So they're trying to look at it, and it's across not just us, it's sort of that the construction industry is sort of dealing with right now with some of that is kind of making sure that that tariff portion is sort of delineated in there so that if it's not something that is paid, then it's not something that's passed on to us sort of preemptively. I guess the risk you run with that is if they went up higher than you would have committed to, then you're probably going to be on the hook for that higher one, but at least it's more accurate. And then in June, the 90% construction document package will be submitted, and then they'll start going out for the trades, like plumbing and all that kind of stuff. And then we just kind of skip to the May of 2027 and say substantial completion. The last thing in there was just a geothermal procurement update. So we just wanted to give you an example. You can see in that drawing that all those little blue circles are the geothermal wells. That's kind of where the middle school, the back end of the middle school field is kind of like the baseball field. Those would all be drilled there. And it was a good bid package. It came in at 1.6 million. The estimate that was carried was 2.2 million. So it came in under. We're still basically carrying the same amount right now with some of the holds and allowances that we're leaving because it's based on their recommendations for different things that you might, they've done testing, we've done test pits and that kind of stuff, but if for some reason they get out there and there was excessive groundwater or something that caused an issue that was kind of unforeseen, that could impact the cost. So that is there, but that's also, those are kind of like a contingency so that if, once the geothermal is done, we'll know what the final price was, and that money would then sort of be kind of freed up again to either be used as another contingency or whatever. So overall, it was a promising bid. And I think the last comment I had on that was that we had some questions about like a ceremonial groundbreaking. What they recommended, they said traditionally what will probably work would be to do something in September, basically kind of right when we get back to school. They'll be doing work over the summer, but a lot of that work is going to be essentially making the construction site and drilling wells. And then by September is really when they'll probably be kind of shifting to starting like the building. And at that time, once we have the kids back, we'll probably do some sort of ceremony with, probably get some, have some students come out and wherever they can see something from, and politicians and all that kind of stuff to, have our little shovels and do all that kind of stuff. So that the kind of that formal kickoff will be probably in September. Okay. They said we could do it if we wanted in June, but it would literally be us just standing in a field. So it'll be more exciting in September. All right, I think that's all I have for that report.
All right, great. Do we have any advisory committee updates?
I don't think we do since last meeting.
Anything on negotiations?
We're just continuing. We're hoping that we can get the more clarity we can get. Hopefully, maybe we'll get something with the insurance meeting so we can kind of keep moving forward. I think so far, our negotiations with the teachers have been going well, as far as, so hopefully we'll keep working together and come up with something that everyone's happy with.
When's our next one, Steve?
April 1st? And we promise not to make do a bunch of joke packages to each other.
So under old business, we had the discussion about the June 16th meeting. That
Yeah.
was the night of the 8th grade
Yeah.
recognition.
Yeah.
So did we decide what we?
I haven't heard
Did
from
anybody
anybody.
have a preference, or, yeah?
We don't
Yeah.
need to, and we still have
I like
time.
the
I just want to
idea.
get it on the radar that, you like,
I like the idea of meeting a little bit earlier and then just going
yeah,
to
just
the-
having, we can wait till we get a little bit closer if we want to, and we can see if we anticipate, like, typically that meeting is going to be the meeting that's basically, we just had town meeting, we just had the election. It's usually at that point going to be a reorganization and like, here's our summer schedule, and it's going to be probably a pretty light agenda. So if that's the case, then I think meeting before should be fine. If for some reason there's something that needs greater attention, we could always look to either say move it to another night or do it afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
It's only meeting a year, I wear a tie, so if that's what you want to go.
Because
I'm
you
saving
got
it, Bill,
the,
I'm saving it. I got a sport coat, so you ought to see it.
Oh, so more to come on that one then.
yeah.
Anything under new business?
I just got something, and I should have said this in the last meeting, and I totally forgot. So it's probably been 3 weeks ago, they did that community readers down at the elementary school, and that's quite a thing. This is the second year you've let me come down there, and I have a blast. I hope the kids have as much fun as I do, because it's I don't know how many people he had. It looked like about 40 people down there, but the kids are they're entertaining at the best, and they read along with you. I have a good time with it, so I just keep it up. I have a good, I'll see you next year. Once a year, that's it. Promise.
You gonna wear a tie?
No, they let me go in a hoodie. I wore a Gales hoodie this year. Last year I wore a Worcester one by mistake. I'm learning. I'm picking up.
Kids help them out.
Yeah, they do the reading. They correct me when I'm wrong. Yeah, we had ice cream. We had a good time.
I have a couple things, if it's okay. First one I kind of mentioned already. I just did want to mention that I did attend that meeting with Congresswoman Trahan at the in Monty Tech. There was an article about it in the what is it up there? The Sentinel, Pittsburgh Sentinel, I think. I just know because my mother-in-law was texting me the article, but so that was in there. You guys did receive a packet of communication today in your packets, or not in your packets, but kind of handed out with them. So I'd invite you to kind of take a look at that. Let me know if you have any questions on that, and then we can kind of talk about that later. And then the last one I want to share is, it's kind of sad news, but I know that, no, she doesn't know I'm going to say this either, but our therapy dog, Maggie, is not doing well, and I believe she's going to retire on Friday. And so she'll be, we're going to do some stuff at the elementary school for Maggie. So just wanted to kind of share that with you so you knew, and almost sort of share that a little bit, because there might be a difficult day for people, but it's something that we have to do. So send her off well. All right, that's all I had.
All right. So that's the end of our agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Unanimous, thanks, go.
Oh.